Welcome to Crankthatwhip. Today I have part 2 for DUI ABCs. Let's get into it. J is for jail. Yes, you go to jail if you get the DUI citation as the adult. The under 21 zero tolerance citations for drivers that get caught with DUI, those drivers don't go to jail. They get to call, ride, and go home. But drivers that get the adult DUI citation, they have to spend at least 8 hours in jail after they're arrested to sober up. When the drivers go to court and get convicted, then that may bring another jail time for them. It's 8 whole hours that they got to sit in there and think about what they've done, I imagine. After the 8 hours, they can bond out, or sometimes they're released without bonding out, which is, a good thing if that happens for them. K is for kill. DUI manslaughter is a second-degree felony in Florida. When drivers kill someone involving DUI, their driver's license is permanently revoked. For this offense, there is prison time and fines. You don't want this kind of guilt on you, folks. I'm telling you. I spoke to a few, I won't say several. Most of the drivers that were in this boat, I guess they, haven't really came to the fact that they can drive, because we didn't have a lot of drivers called that were permanently revoked due to a DUI manslaughter. But when they did call, you could hear that guilt in their voice, that remorse, that sadness. So if you are a DUI offender, if you drink and drive and you haven't got caught yet, whatever the case is, folks, just stop while you're ahead, because trust me, you don't want to kill somebody. You can kill your spouse, your friend, or somebody that you don't even know. Either way it goes, you're going to be permanently revoked. I remember this one driver called and she had killed her best friend, you guys. Her best friend. They were hanging out. Things went wrong. Next thing you know, she had got into a car wreck. Her best friend was ejected out of the vehicle, died on the scene. Now she walk around with all that guilt of her best friend gone due to her drinking and driving. L is for lawyer. It's a good idea to hire an attorney when you go to court, because they can help you with that first time DUI offense, and any offense for DUI in that case. Just make sure the attorney that you hire, though, is in tune with that administrative suspension and also the DUI cases in court. Because a lot of times, attorneys that I dealt with, they did not have an idea of how to handle that administrative suspension in that case. But they knew about that DUI case in court. They could tell you all about that. But they had so many questions when it came to what am I supposed to do about this form of review. So just make sure the attorney deals with both administrative suspensions and DUI cases. And if you can, go to the hearing with your attorney. Why would you not want to go to the hearing? Go and see what this joker doing. You paying him all this money. Go and see what they doing. Some of them attorneys, they did not allow their drivers to come with them because they know they in there acting a fool. And some attorneys, they had their drivers with them all the time because they wanted them to see what they were doing for them. You paid me this amount of money. I went in there and I asked them these questions. I presented this motion and the case was sustained. You seen what I did? You got your money's worth. M is for money. Money, 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 money. Money. Yes, you're going to be paying some money. If you get an administrative suspension and if you get a DUI, baby, you're going to be paying some money to the state of Florida. A DUI is not cheap and will cost a whole lot more than them drinks that cause the intoxication. You're going to have DMV reinstatement fees, traffic school fees, the attorney fees, the court fees, fees. That's why you got to get it together and watch Crankthatwhip so you won't be into that situation. N is for not guilty. Not guilty verdict for DUI with jury in trial removes the DUI suspension. That's the driving with unlawful breath or blood alcohol level. Suspension. Only that one. A not guilty will not remove that refusal. A lot of times people be like, Oh yeah, then I heard Mr. Biggs, take that shit to trial. Take that. Oh yeah, take it to trial. Go ahead on and take it to trial. But if you got a refusal, do not think that your refusal is gonna be removed because you win in that trial. Because your day in court with the refusal is with the DMV. You have to request a hearing with the formal or informal to fight that refusal. The court case has no bearing on the refusal at all. If Duval gets deleted if you're found not guilty, but not the refusal. It has no bearing. That court case has no bearing. Oaths. At a formal review, the hearing officer will administer oaths to witnesses before they testify. And that's at the formal review, at the review waiver, at the hardship hearing. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. That wasn't our oath, but that's what an oath is. You have to tell the person that's about to testify, raise your right hand, and administer the oath. Whatever that oath is that your organization has. At first, when I first started working at bar, we were doing oaths over the phone for our formal reviews. And then some attorneys started complaining because you couldn't see who was actually, behind that phone. Then we had to start doing video hearings where the officers would be on screen so we can see who's being put under oath and who's testifying. Some attorneys didn't really care. They just wanted that doggone testimony, baby. They didn't care if you was under oath or not on the phone or on a video. They just wanted the testimony. It was those picky attorneys that made such a big deal and made us have to start going to video Zooms to do the oaths. P is for probable cause. Probable cause is evidence the officer has after an investigation to arrest for DUI. It's the probable cause. The DUI investigation is to gather information, folks. Info needed to determine if they can arrest for the DUI. They need the signs of impairment, the odor, and 2 other signs of impairment to even start that DUI investigation. Once they do that DUI investigation, they're going to get them field sobriety exercise results. And then when you get arrested, they'll get the breath test results and then the refusal. Q is for question law enforcement. The driver or his attorney can subpoena the officers involved in your DUI arrest for questioning at a formal review. Don't you want to get in that officer's face and find out why you got arrested? I know if I get arrested for a DUI, I want to look that officer in the face and find out some answers. Why you pulled me over? Because you were speeding. Why you ain't let me go? Because you had old alcoholic beverages. Bloodshot eyes, slurred speech. The list can go on and on. But the fact is, you can question the officer at a formal review. That's what you want to do if you get arrested for a DUI. Subpoena them jokers. Or let the attorney do it for you. It in their face. They turn red, baby. They turn red. R is for reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion is what you do to get the officer in your face. It's what you do to give the officer a reason to suspect you for committing a crime. The list can be long, you guys, of reasons why the officer get in your face. It can be some of the dumbest things too. Running over a curb, getting out at red lights, twerking on headlights, speeding, spinning tires, stopping in traffic to pick up your friends or to let people out. All of those things, it's going to get the attention of the officer. He's going to keep following you. Then he's going to see you start swerving, see you start speeding. And next thing you know, you're going to have a DUI. Reasonable suspicion, folks. I have another R. It's refusal. You probably already know what refusal is. All the refusal talk I've been doing. But a refusal to submit to breath, urine, or blood test is the first offense, 1 year, second or subsequent 18-month suspension. Refuse twice, and there's no hardship license. Now, this could be a good thing because there's no results to be held against you about how drunk you was. But that no hardship license and that 18-month suspension got me, though. S is for I can't speak here. S is for slurred speech. Hell, I got slurred speech. Drinking alcohol could cause change in speech production, making speech slurred, folks. This is usually the third indicator in the DUI arrest. Because why? The officer gets on the scene, goes to the window, roll the window down, boom, they order alcohol beverage. That's the first thing. Then they look at the driver and they see them red eyes. And then when the driver opens his or her mouth, that's when you're going to hear that slurred speech. That's going to confirm the deal that I need to go ahead on and start a DUI investigation. That's what the officer going to say. T is for temporary permits. If drivers are valid at the time of their DUI stop before they get arrested, then if they are valid, they are supposed to be given a 10-day temporary permit. Some officers refuse to give this temporary permit because the driver may refuse to submit to the field sobriety exercises or refuse to submit to the breath, urine, or blood test, which is not what the statute says, folks. A formal review will also allow a driver to continue to drive with that formal review hearing while that formal review is being held by the issuance of a temporary permit. It's for 42 days. It's 30 days the hearing is set from the request date, and then 12 additional days for the hearing officer to complete the case, basically. And then after that, if you don't win, your hard time starts if you're eligible to apply for the hardship license. The temporary permit is a piece of paper, folks. That's the difference between a hardship license and a temporary permit. They both allow you to drive while you might be sanctioned, but one is a license and one is a piece of paper. The piece of paper does not have your photo, so you have to get an ID to carry along with this temporary permit. It has the driver's basic information and then the business purpose only restriction or employment purposes only, and then it has the expiration date. When the temporary permit expires, it's null and void. The driver might as well throw it away. They don't need to hear that with them no more, baby. Just go ahead and discard that. U is for urine test. When the officer suspects the driver of being under the influence of drugs, they should ask the driver to submit to a urine test. Officers cannot ask for urine just because the person has blown and they have a 0.07 alcohol level. That's not the way it goes, folks. They have to already suspect the driver for being under the influence of drugs and alcohol. And then when the driver may be below, they can go on and ask for a urine test. They have to already been articulated that I believe this driver is under both drugs and alcohol, and then they can get both of the tests. V is for video. There is a body cam video and a vehicle cam video to prove or refute evidence in your DUI packet, baby. The video will have the traffic stop and also those field sobriety exercises. That's why it's important not to act a fool. The more you cut up, the better show you're going to have on that video. That's why I always say refuse them field sobriety exercises, because it's only a darn show for somebody later on when they're watching it. W is for watery eyes. W is for watery eyes. Drinking alcohol causes dry eye syndrome, which makes your eyes become watery. While this is definitely an indicator of excessive alcohol consumption, it's also the indicator of tiredness and somebody who may be in a smoky area or whatever the case is. These attorneys will think of anything to support the fact that their drivers were not having those watery eyes due to alcohol consumption. But as I said before, just like with them red eyes, if you have watery eyes, slurred speech, you done got pulled over because you've been speeding or some other driving infraction, more than likely you are DUI. You're not just tired or just was at a smoky area. You DUI if you got them watery eyes along with that other list of indicators. X is for examine. At a formal review, the hearing officer will examine the evidence. And after the formal review, because after the hearing is over, they're not just done. They have to go ahead on and determine whether they're going to sustain, amend, or invalidate. So they are examining the evidence throughout the whole case. They are examining the evidence from the formal and afterwards until they make that decision. The hearing officers have 7 working days to complete the case after the hearing is completed. It's not decided the day of and they don't find out at the hearing. We had to tell a lot of drivers that they didn't have attorneys. They thought they were going to find out the same day whether they was going to get their license back or not. No, baby, you got to wait. The letter comes in the mail. It'll be a final order typed up, and it'll be a real short one page if you got the case invalidated. If it's about 5 and 6 pages, baby, you done got your case sustained and it's staying on your record. This one also, I had to think outside of the box. Why is it so bad to get a DUI? You put yourself and others in danger. Point blank, period. DUI is bad, folks. It's against the law. You can harm yourself and others. You might lose your job. It can be costly. It stays on your record for 75 years. It can stop you from getting a job. It raises your insurance. And it's going to require you to get an FR 44 and an ignition interlock device. Please don't DUI, folks. Don't do it. Z is for zero tolerance. There is zero tolerance for underage drinking in Florida and driving. Underage drinkers found DUI have to call for a ride to go home. They get their license taken, they get suspended, they get the notice of suspension, but no jail time, no court date. They cannot apply for an immediate hardship license with the review waiver. They have to wait their 30 days if they submit to the breath, urine, or blood test, or they have to wait 90 days if they refuse before they can apply for the hardship license. And their suspension gets removed at their 21st birthday as long as they have reinstated that suspension. I hope you guys enjoyed these ABCs for DUI. Show your girl some love. Subscribe and follow me. Check out my episodes. Crank that whip, baby.